And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. We broadcast live between now and 5 and record the whole time. So if you have a radio that you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We will be recording. And also if you need assistance in your audio tune-up, that's another feature that we offer on the KC9VKV QSO-VLOG. So good evening or good afternoon mostly, and we're going to check now and see if Charlie, K1GZL, is on the frequency. Charlie, you out there?
Yeah, you're 9 plus 15 direct. This week I got tied up with stuff out in the backyard and I forgot all about the schedule. So, I'm copying you fine. No problem whatsoever. KC9VKV, K1G,
Roger, Charlie. Well, one of my SDRs is down. The good folks at the Rochester SDR had given me a couple of passwords to be able to extend the time on their SDR, but apparently they can't get there from here and realize their own password effectiveness, because I keep putting the password in and it keeps rejecting it. So we probably won't have the Rochester SDR on the frequency this afternoon. It says, sorry, this SDR can only be used for 30 minutes every 24 hours by each IP address. If you have an exemption password from this SDR owner, administrator, please enter it here. And I've entered it 5 times and it's rejected it. So, so much for the Rochester SDR. Roger, Charlie?
Charlie? Yeah, what about the Milford, Pennsylvania, and also Virginia, near Washington? Go ahead.
Roger, I'm copying you now on the Milford PA SDR, and I did copy you a little bit earlier on the Alexandria SDR, but you're much better on the Milford right at the moment. Roger?
Roger. Okay, I mean to skip this short, but boy, it wasn't this morning. KC9VKV, K1GZL. Yeah, you're up to 15 over 9 direct. Southern Indiana, because I cannot tune in SDR. I don't have a computer here at all. But it sounds good. This morning I was working VK3MO, and he was speaking 30 over 9, and Mike, who's in there quite often down near Pittsburgh, he was completely skipping over. I could tell his voice was there, but I couldn't read him. So we had no sporadic E this morning, no sporadic E. However, this afternoon, skip has shortened up considerably. But you sound great. You sound great in here, Tim. And I expect that you will probably copy correct. KC9VKV, K1.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I haven't been able to copy direct so far. I don't know. You know, the skip gods sometimes are very mysterious in their abilities to spread around that skip, signal. So, but I keep checking it every once in a while. But I am of interest, Charlie. I am working on a magnetic loop antenna with. I'm using 1 1/4 heliax for the loop, or it actually loops. It's going to be, as I see it now, 2 8-foot loops tied together. Roger.
Roger. Yeah. Interesting. One operation.
Sorry, Charlie, I was looking for a better signal. I missed you there. I've got to reposition my Rochester SDR to another SDR. I think that's the best way to do that, and just forget Rochester for the afternoon. Something around, let's see here, something in our area. Maybe a Washington. Well, I've already got our I've got Alexandria, Virginia, so that would be West Palm Beach pretty much. Let's see. I'll have to think about that. Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, I don't think I'd be getting into West Palm Beach this time very, very well. But it'd be interesting to see how you sound on the magnetic loop direct from your location. But you're great, Doc. Boy, you are really your direction. Here it is.
Roger, Charlie. Well, we're just located in a very central location around Louisville, so we can shoot north or south fairly well, and just cover the East Coast predominantly. Sometimes we go a little west, but it's seldom that we get much traffic out of the west. Mainly, it's out of the East Coast. Roger, Roger.
What was that last one, Jim? Go ahead.
I was just saying mainly our radiation signal is usually on the East Coast. Occasionally we do go west, but normally it is on the East Coast. Roger?
Roger. Okay, well, right now, 20 over 9 direct, and if you don't catch me direct, that's really strange condition.
Roger, catching a little QRM from an adjacent frequency on the low end. Can you imagine that? I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it's a low frequency garbage coming off an adjacent frequency. Very strange, Roger.
Okay, I can tell it's something on the side. Way over. This quad is aimed pretty well in your direction, Jim. Dead center on.
I was just thinking, we do have two Rochester, New York SDRs. There are two SDRs in that city. So I'm going to try that number 2 and see if I can get into that. We'll just see. Give me a little transmission, Charlie. Let me try that Rochester number 2.
That's Rochester number 2.
Okay, Roger. I'm not sure how short the skip is, though. That's the question mark. K1GZL returning to KC9VKV. But right now, direct, you're 20 over 9. 20 over 9 direct, Jim. Really, and the noise level's about an S6, so you're all by yourself. Direct. Go ahead.
Roger. And Charlie, that number 2 Rochester SDR is, gosh, you're 15 over on that SDR. So who needs the number 1 Rochester SDR? We got number 2, and it's just running wild, Roger.
Okay, Roger on that. I would imagine Milford should be good. Should be from your station direct. The quality coming from your station direct without SDR is better. Your audio, I think, is more natural coming directly from your station straight through without SDR, at least on receiving. Jim, go ahead.
Roger, Charlie. Well, gosh, I'm glad that we're making the trip, and I'm glad that you're making the trip. I'm going to start a new segment called Great Radio Stories. This is going to have to do with radio stories all about maybe amateur radio stories or war radio stories or, commercial radio stories, just great radio stories in general, just kind of trying to broaden out the aspects of our QSO-VLOG network. Roger?
Aspects of our QSO-VLOG network, Roger.
Okay, well, interesting. I think I've pretty well run out of material that I had passed on to you previously, unless we revisit some of those. But your signal's great in here, right from southern Indiana. Boy, you really are good. Here it is.
Rochester, New York SDRs. There are 2 SDRs in that city, so I'm going to try that number 2.
Okay, Jim, that's how you sound here. Great copy. Okay, so I won't hold it up there. I hear people calling you in the background there a little bit there, so it was good working you this afternoon. I don't know if you're going to use this on the on the playback, but we'll see. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, you know, the way it is, we record for an hour and a half, no edits. Normally, unless somebody comes in and shoots the place up, we record for an hour and a half with no edits, and we do upload that one first. Within a couple of days of this date, we do upload the long one, and then as time permits, we go back and edit the individual ones out as time permits. So we have the long one to begin with, and then we edit the segments out and upload those separately. So, and last week, we were recovering from 3. Let's see how to put this. We had 3 failures of QSO-VLOG recording. 3 failures, 3 weeks in a row. I mean, actually 2 weeks in a row, and then we had a pop-up that was going to, be the test, and we wound up with great amounts of RF and the AF on that one. So we actually had 3 failures right in a row after having 3 years of no problems. So now, last week, we did have a great program network, and we had 1 hour and a half long recording that made it beautifully, and then we had 14 segments that we lifted out of that. So in all, it was a great QSO-VLOG last week, and hopefully I'm looking right now and I'm seeing the capture emblem on the screen, which indicates that we are recording well on this week's QSO-VLOG video recording. Roger?
QSO-VLOG video recording, Roger.
Okay, well, right now, direct. You are great copy. You're full quieting, excellent audio, well-rounded, and it's good. And okay, I'm wanting to get amateur radio stories about anything back, including during the time of war. Okay, look, Jim, I'll sign, and I'll catch you hopefully next week. And boys, by the way, with the highest temperature we've had this summer up here in northern New Hampshire at 2,007 feet. One day it did hit 87, and today it's just about 70, as it was yesterday. Yesterday morning we had an undercast of fog down below us, with a nearly full moon just over the mountains at about just before 6 o'clock in the morning. That was quite a sight, Jim. A pleasure as always, and I'll try to catch you next week. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Okay, 3Z sir, and you'll be interested to know that your last signal on Raleigh SDR number 2, you were 12 over their noise level. You were 12 dB over the Raleigh number 2 SDR noise level. So good signal. So you have a real good afternoon, Charlie. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you hopefully next week. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, and this is the QSO-VLOG page, network, whatever. If you have a radio, you want to check out the audio. We are recording now live till 5, and also if you need a radio with a little modulation assistance setup, we do that also. This is KC9VKV listening.
Oh, Bravo 8.
There was a, let me get the right pin here. There was a Lima Bravo 8 something. Come back with that.
Kilo Bravo 8, Lima Alpha.
Okay, it was a Kilo Bravo 8, and what was the rest? Okay, I don't have much of a copy on you on my local antenna, but come back and tell me about your antenna, and I'll look around and see if I can find an SDR or something that will have a better copy on you, Roger?
Okay, roger that.
A little better copy on you, Roger.
My antenna is I haven't used it in many months. Let me think. A hybrid vertical antenna made in Ontario. Hybrid vertical antenna made in Ontario. The name is Lima Alpha Yankee Tango Oscar November Clayton, located in Southfield, Michigan, near Detroit. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor, this is KD8LAG.
Okay, so that last letter is Z Zebra, is that a Roger?
Golf, Lima Alpha Golf, lag.
I got you, golf. Okay, and you're around up in Michigan there, and what was the radio you're running?
It's a Yaesu FTDX 1200.
FTDX 1200, is that a Roger?
Roger.
Alrighty, and you're doing, what, about 100 watts now, or what?
Roger that.
Oh, my ESP's kicking in there. Either that or, oh, well, I'll have to, I gave up Muscatel a few years ago, so anyway. And that antenna, you seem to be a little confused about your antennas. Have you been modifying it quite a bit?
No, I haven't been modifying it. It's just that I haven't been in amateur radio for a few months, and I decided to come on today. But it's an antenna I bought commercially from Stratford, Ontario, and it's a mini quad hybrid, a two-element antenna. Over.
Oh, Roger. So it is like a Yagi. Is that a Roger? Or is it a wire antenna? The script guys got you that time. Try it one more time.
It is a Yagi type antenna that weighs 17 pounds. Over.
Oh, Roger that. Roger that. Now, is that multi-band? Does it have traps on it or what?
No, it does. It does not have traps, but it is a multi-band antenna. And like I say, I haven't used it in a while. If you could talk a minute or two, let me swing the beam back and forth. Over.
All right. Well, let's see here. I could tell you where to put that. It would be, let's see. Let me just look. I've got a jobber here that'll tell me everything. Put it on 180 degrees. Go for 180 degrees. I think that'll probably be about the right angle of the dangle, Roger. In other words, you want to go due south. I think due south will take care of the problem. So if 0000 is north, then 180 degrees difference would be south. Roger?
Exactly. That's where I'm aimed.
Roger, and your signal did pick up a little bit, Roger.
Okay, very good. Very good. No, I haven't been on the radio in a few months, but I decided to get on. Now, if I've got your call sign correct, which I think I do, it shows you located in New Albany, Indiana. Okay. And are you picking me up from New Albany, Indiana, or from some other method? Over.
New Albany is correct, and New Albany happens to be just across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. So we usually use Louisville as a location address, since more people know where Louisville is than they do where New Albany is. Roger?
Yeah, roger that, Jim. Yeah, New Albany. I have a sister who used to teach in New Albany, Indiana, by the name of Mullen. But anyway, and I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I grew up in Eastern Kentucky over in Kentucky.
I changed input. I have an input selector switch for my audio system. It has it's a 6-position rotary switch, and I'm running 4 SDRs plus my local receiver. So I have 5 inputs that on a rotary switch input select that I can roll through and check out actually twice in about a second and a half, depending on the latency of the SDRs that I'm checking. But so from time to time, as one kind of peters out, I go through that 6-position rotary switch looking for better signals, and it's amazing how as one does, as one SDR fades out or my local antenna fades out, that is replaced by another SDR with the signal that comes up. So it's kind of like a ping pong game. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. No, I know what you're doing. VKV, okay. Well, I'll tell you, I've been in amateur radio since 1990. That would be, about 29 years? About 29 years. And enjoy it greatly. I'm 81 years old, and hope to be around a long time longer. Over.
Well, Roger, what is the name there? Didn't get the name.
The name is Clayton. Clayton. Charlie Lima, Alpha Yankee, Tango Oscar November. Clayton, over.
I got you, Clayton. Roger. Well, you're doing real well there. You're just a few years ahead of me. Not that many, though, Roger.
Roger that. Are you in your 70s or 60s?
About 75 in that area, Roger.
Okay, very good. Well, hang in there, as I'm going to do. And I really appreciate making a contact with you there in New Albany, Indiana. Yeah, my sister lives over into Kentucky, probably about 15 miles south of the Ohio River there, going into Louisville. But I guess she's retired by now. I haven't talked to her in a while. But she used to drive every day to New Albany to teach school. Over.
Oh, Roger. Well, I guess she knows pretty much where New Albany is. She's one of a select few that we divulge the location of our area. It's a closely guarded secret, apparently, Roger.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that it might be with a big city near you. And, of course, I guess you often mention that you're from the Louisville area, I would imagine. But anyway, real time on your age there, 75, and radio are you running?
This is a highly modified Yaesu FT990. It's highly modified, coming and going. Its receiver is flat from 100 cycles up till 4K, and the transmit is likewise. So it's been pretty heavily modified, Roger.
Yeah, roger that, roger that. I had a big, I think it was an FT990. I know it was a 990. I know that there was another company that made a 990 as well. But I had, I think mine was an FT990. I had it a few years ago. I had bought it because someone wanted to sell it at a price, and I found it difficult to resist those kind of buys, James. Over.
Oh, Roger, yeah, it is just a classic, beautiful radio, stock, but having modified it to this point, we do have a lot of stuff tied to the front and to the audio out of this receiver. We do actually we're running a QSO-VLOG recording now, and have been since 3:30. So I was going to mention that to you if you would be interested in hearing your audio. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We have about 670 QSO-VLOGs, but usually on page 1 we'll be posting the most current one, and that's this one. And this one is entitled My Group Aircheck 8/16/19. My Group Aircheck 8/16/19, which is today's date. Roger, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Okay, I'll go there and see. How do I connect to this?
Gosh, Clayton, you're kind of fading out there. Yeah, if you just go to YouTube, and then do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and then you'll be looking for a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 8/16/19. Roger?
That I had at the peak of my 81 years. But anyway, I've got you now, and I understand it 100%. And I'm going to go there and look for it. Thank you for telling me about it, James. You take care of things there at the north side of the river. Over.
Roger, Clayton, roger that. And just FYI, I'm copying you both on my local antenna near Louisville, but I have a better copy on you on the Milford, PA SDR. But the problem is they're having a lightning storm up around Milford, apparently, and so I'll be having a good copy on you, and all of a sudden there'll be a couple of clicks, and that receiver is running AGC, so that lightning strike noise just sucks that AGC right down, and it takes a little while for it to regain before I can hear you again. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, that. I'm glad you told me that, because if I were listening to it, I probably wouldn't be able to figure out what was going on there. Okay, very good, James. Thanks for the contact. I appreciate all the new technology in terms of these receiver sites. 7-3 from KC9VKV.
Roger, Clayton. 3's that way, sir. Enjoyed it, and may you have a real good afternoon and a great weekend. 3's to you, sir. And this is, and incidentally, it'll take us usually a couple of days to post this. So, be sure and like I say, be aware of the fact that it won't be there instantaneous. Will be a couple of days from today. On the outside, on the inside, it might be, like 12 hours or 24 hours, possibly. It just depends on, our work situation. But absolutely within 24 hours. For 2 days. So 3's to you, Clayton. Catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check the audio, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and if you need a little assistance on your audio setup on the transmit side, we do that also. So this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. We are listening. This is KC9VKV station. Come back one more time. Last station calling. Give me a recount. Try one more. I was just in the middle of coming off of Milford, PA, going to my local antenna where I think I heard you.
Whiskey America 3 Ocean Mobile, WA30 Mobile.
WA30 Mobile. Go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Jim? I talked to you last week. I've talked to you many times. Just heading on our way from Pittsburgh down to Weirton, West Virginia. Just wanted to say hello and see how you were hearing the mobile here. Just running an ICOM IC7000, running the hand mic, and running a ham stick on the back of the vehicle, running 100 watts, and getting ready to go into a tunnel. So back to you.
Oh, you're doing a great job. Looks to be about 10 over before you go into the tunnel. Now, we'll conduct a little experiment, if you like. I'll talk to you a little ways. Are you started into the tunnel yet?
Not yet. I got about, about 1,500 feet till we go into the tunnel here. So when we're just about into the tunnel, but I'm sure I probably won't hear you too far into it. So I'm about 500 feet. Let's see. Maybe about 200 feet, and the brake lights are coming on. So, okay, I'm going to unkey here. I'm going to be into the tunnel in about 100 feet. Over.
All right. Well, keep talking there for a little bit. Let me hear how you fade out. Yeah, I don't know if you can still copy me or not, but this is KC9VKV to WA30 underground in the tunnel. Now the question is, how long is that tunnel, and is it underwater or just where the heck is it? We'll probably get that information when he comes out the other side, unless this is a tunnel that's 30 miles long, and it'll be a while before he surfaces again. Who knows? This is KC9VKV, and WA30, do you have a copy? Well, that mobile is still underground. I'm not sure if it's underwater or just exactly what that tunnel is or where it goes to, but obviously he was right. Signals do not penetrate that tunnel. Now, there are some folks that build tunnels, and they have passive radiators that allow radio stations and two-way communications to occur in the underground. They just have to have a passive throughway for that to occur. This is KC9VKV. Back to that mobile. WA30 underground in the tunnel. If you've got a copy.
Yeah, I just got out of the tunnel. Yeah, there's a little bit of traffic, so there you have it, Jim. KC9VKV, WA30 mobile.
Roger, Roger. What's the name there?
I'm a good friend of Charlie, K1GZL.
Roger, Roger, Mike. Well, you were correct. There was no communications going on under the tunnel or in the tunnel. I was talking to you, and I could not hear you, or I guess you couldn't hear me, Roger.
get back to you. KC9VKV, WA30 Mobile 73.
Roger, Roger, Mike, 3's to you there, and we will be, as you know, as always, we are recording, so we have documented your trip into the tunnel of no transmissions eluding from the tunnel, and we had documented that, and it is on tape. So if you drop by YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 81619. My Group Aircheck 81619. This is KC9VKV. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5. And also if you need a little assistance on your transmit modulation tune-up, we do that also. This is KC9VKV.
KC9VKV.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor on the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5. And also, well, gosh, it must be time for Adventures in Radioland. This segment, Magic Magnetic Loop Antennas. We are at the moment building 2 major loops. They are 8-foot loops, 2 tied together, because I found out that my 1-meter loop antenna is just enough to get me in trouble. I AB'd that 1-meter loop against my inverted V dipole, and the dipole came out about 6 dB hotter than my 1 loop antenna, so my 1-meter loop antenna. So now that I've realized how the magnetic loop antenna works and how the gain factor is, I am in the midst of constructing 2 8-foot loops made out of 1.25 inch. Gosh, what is that? Well, anyway, it's a transmission line, but you know, we have to chop it up there and make 2 8-foot loops and tie them together and all that stuff. So we should be interested in doing that. We are just beginning on that, but we did build that 1-meter loop and just saw, you know, that it was about 6 dB below gain from our other inverted V dipole antenna. So what we're looking for is something a little bit better than the dipole, and so we're going to be working on that. Anyway, this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, we are recording now live till 5. Yeah, I did hear a couple of stations back in there, but none of them were above my noise level, just right at my noise level. So this is KC9VKV. Come on back and try it again. Let's see what Mother Nature has in store for us. Well, nothing so far, and I have my second Rochester SDR has bit the dust. Too much, just too much strain, I guess. Anyway, they don't want to for people to hang on, I guess. So let me get out of that. And I will go somewhere where at least we'll have some time that we can hang in there and let's see, just out of curiosity, let me try Atlanta. I'm looking for something coming north, or actually south. We are looking at our Atlanta SDR, looking for a signal to come out of the south. This is KC9VKV. Anybody around Atlanta? Got a copy?
Atlanta, got a copy.
I think I heard a Hotel Foxtrot.
I think I heard a Hotel Foxtrot.
Heard something, Charlie. What's your location, sir? What is your location?
What's your location, sir? What is your location?
Did not copy location. Try, come up on that mic and give me your location one more time. Maybe I can find a SDR in your neighborhood.
Phil, Ontario. This is Victor Alpha 3 Hotel Foxtrot Charlie.
Victor Alpha 3, good Canadian friend. Victor Alpha 3, and what was the rest?
The rest?
Hotel Foxtrot Charlie.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Foxtrot Charlie. Roger, roger. What's the name there?
Name there.
I was copying you pretty good on the Milford PA, but that kind of faded out. Let me see. Give me about 10 seconds on about your antenna, sir. Give me about 10 seconds about your antenna. Let me turn around here a little bit. Well, gosh, not really helping at the moment. I heard you there. You're about 3 dB above my noise level one time, and then kind of faded back into the noise. But I'm assuming that you're running at like 100 watts. Is that a Roger? Well, gosh, I'm sorry, but I don't think we're going to be able to make the trip at this time. You just have faded well below my noise level. You are well below my noise level and everybody else's noise level as far as SDRs are concerned. I can't find you anywhere. So maybe later on, if you notice my signal come up to you, try again, and maybe conditions will get better at that point. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give me a shout. KC9VKV.
Bravo 4 Alpha November.
The Alpha November station. Come back with a call sign slowly, phonetically again, please.
Yes, please.
Alpha Bravo 4 Alpha November. America Boston 4 America Norway. Name here is Joseph. I'm located in Alabama. Over.
Roger, Joseph in Alabama, really sounding good there for the moment. Now, don't get too happy because Mother Nature, boy, she's been shifting quite a bit this afternoon. Roger.
Roger.
Well, I know, sir, you were well over S9 about 2 minutes ago. Now you're about an S7. I was copying the gentleman you were talking to. He was 100 watts on a dial. He said, over.
Roger that. Well, just jumped over my head. That's the thing. You never know exactly how it's going to go. You know, those signals bounce around like crazy up there. My idea was, you know, if you get enough SDRs, you're bound to have one ricochet off of one of those SDRs somewhere, you know?
that plan looks good on paper, doesn't it? And I'm absolutely surprised that one of the SDRs didn't pick him up. It's a great idea. Just to be 9 on that last one, over.
Roger. Now I'm copying you on the Milford, PA SDR, and they're having a lightning storm up there. So there's intermittently you will drop down and then come back as they're running their SDR in AGC. So when there's a lightning strike, that pulse will cause that AGC to jump down, and then your signal will jump down with it, and then it will recover within a couple of seconds or so. Usually, Roger.
Roger.
Oh, Roger. Well, we don't have any weather here, which is kind of a godsend. I'm having horrible temperature swings. Right now on my balcony, it's 100 degrees even. Yesterday it was 103. So I'm located between Birmingham and Huntsville in Alabama, and the last 3 or 4 days we've been really trying to beat the heat. All the dogs are in and hunkered down, and the air conditioner's blasting. So, but no rain, although we do kind of get a tropical little shower from time to time around sundown, over.
Oh, roger that. And what kind of radio are you running, sir?
This is an older SDR. Flex 5000A VU. It's one of the ones that they first came out with the VHF and UHF in them, and it seems to do a pretty good job. I'm not really sure about the audio quality. We've tried several things to get it kind of flattened out. It was sounding pretty murky when I first turned it on last year or so, but experimenting with the microphones, we found one that I think sounds a little bit more crisp, although last time I listened to it myself, I found it could use just a little bit more high, over.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A couple of clicks more top end EQ, I think, would be in order there. The bottom end sounds nice, you know, just a little more crispiness in the right area. Roger, Roger?
The problem is that I've got everything turned up from 1K up, and I can't do anything more with it. I guess I could turn the bottom end down, but that doesn't quite do the same thing, over.
Roger, you have a 3-band EQ?
No, it's a 10-band, and I've got from 1K, 2K, 4, 8, and 16 are all wide open.
Roger. Now, let me give you some advice. What you want to do is keep your mid-range flat. That way, the top and the bottom will have more effect. If you boost the mid-range, then you know that takes away from the effect of the top and the bottom. So keep all that 1K plus or minus 0. Put it flat. Likewise, 500 cycles flat. Likewise, 1.5 flat. So you have a very flat mid-range. Then your top end EQ and your bottom end EQ will have more effect. I would leave the bottom end where it was. I would go up to around 3 kC, 3.2 kC, and I would run that pretty much full up, and I'm assuming that you're in the widest bandpass possible.
Well, not the widest, because this thing will go full out, but I am running 3 kC. This is with 1K turned all the way, and this is right here with 1K flattened out. So you can tell me if it makes any difference, over.
Roger, yes, your top end sounds more pronounced now that it's not fighting your mid-range. So you have your 1K flat. I would go to 500 cycles, and I would flatten that one also. Okay, that's actually going to bring it up a little bit. It's slightly below 0 dB. I can drop it down a little bit more. There we go. That's 500's almost taken completely out now. Sounds pretty good. Tell me about your the radio and things you like best about your radio. Well, the
has a very matured, or 5000 has a very matured software. And running the Power SDR with the KC9VKV software. And so there's a lot of interesting things here. You've got a solar map in the background. The map of the world. On top of that, you can have, of course, your pan adapter, waterfall, whatever you want. It has all kinds of. I know how hot the CPU is running. I know how much CPU is using. A voltmeter here that I can see if it's blowing too much if I transmit. I've got timers on it that will remind me. I can even turn on space weather if I want to. And I can go back and forth between UTC and regular time with just a click of a button. It's got, of course, VHF, UHF, and 2 receivers in it, and an antenna. So this one actually has the 630-meter band activated in it. Over.
Roger, Joseph. Now, I would go to my ALC meter. Go to your ALC meter and with your mic volume in hand, and adjust that ALC meter for a mid-scale to 2/3 deflection. I would adjust the ALC to mid-scale to 2/3 with the mic gain. Roger?
Okay, let's see. It looks like the ALC 1, 2, 3. Looks like the ALC is not quite hot enough. Looks like it's about 1/3. Do you want me to go higher than 1/3? Over.
Yes, sir. Mid-scale to 2/3. See, what happened is when you pulled that 1K and that 500 back, then you dropped your level. So you need to bring your mic gain up to where your ALC meter is deflecting mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we can boost this thing just a little bit. Let me look here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, test. There we go. Just a little bit.
Joseph, you still have a copy?
I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you copy?
Yes, sir. Now, I also recommend running your compressor at about a 3 out of 10. Running that compressor inline at about a 3 out of 10. It's nothing that you're going to hear, but it does help the fattening process. 3 out of 10. Roger?
Okay, that should do about a 3 out of 10. The ALC meter's not moving a whole lot on this one. It tends to stay about the same. I'm not sure if it's being throttled back internally or not. Over.
Well, whatever the case, you just want to run that ALC mid-scale to 2/3, and between that compressor at 3 out of 10 and the ALC at a mid-scale to 2/3, you should be approaching about a 3 dB dynamic range, which will mean that your average peak modulation is somewhere between 80 to 85%. Roger?
Okay, very sorry. Let's see. All right, I've got things a little bit too hot now. Let me pull it back down here a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, test. Hello, test. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And, okay. So that's with the compressor on, and that's running about 2/3. What do you think about the sound of this? Over.
Roger. Now, the important thing is that you work your mic consistently. Your distance to the mic, and your positioning to it as far as what mic is that anyway?
Well, it's basically a TS440 element. It's wrapped in a round, but you can't pay attention to that. That's where I've housed it. So it is an older Kenwood TS440 element.
Roger, starting to fade in and out just a little bit. Well, the important thing is that you be very consistent about the way you work that microphone, any microphone, because electronic processing can only do so much. The main thing is that the operator approach the microphone consistently, and that will alleviate a lot of ins and outs and all that stuff, because once you get that mic set up, it requires you to be consistent as far as the input to the mic. Roger?
Roger. Background in broadcasting. It's been so long ago. I worked at WTJP, which is the Trinity Broadcasting downlink, and occasionally there was special IP boards, but of course with a downlink you don't get on the air very often except to do announcements and IDs. So it's fairly consistent here. Of course, it wasn't consistent while I was fiddling with all the knobs, because the way that my setup is to look directly at the screen takes a little bit, because there are dogs in the way right now. I'm kind of sitting over to the side, so it's an odd setup right now. Over.
Roger. Well, you've got to make your ham shack workable, and looking at the screen is kind of a critical thing, I guess, since your SDR there is all over the screen. You need good eye contact with that. So I have mine. I'm not running an SDR, but we are running the QSO-VLOG recorder and all kinds of stuff. So my screen is probably about 2.5 feet directly in front of me, and it's one of those left to right 1080 whatever, and so I've got a pretty good vantage point to see what's going on, and I think that's really important. And also now in my case, my microphone is on a swing arm, and it's it's positioned exactly where it has to be for the video, not to cover up various aspects. I've got a modulation light, a spectrum analyzer, a modulation meter, and modulation vertical lights, clock, and all that stuff. And so my mic and the swing arm and the loop for the mic cable going into the mic all has to be within a couple of nanoseconds of where it has to be. So I can see that, and I can see when I mess up and I have to do something. I might pull the mic one way or the other, but I got to get it back. At least it be blocking some critical things. So and then the other thing is I've got this is a condenser mic feeding a mic tube type mic preamp, an ART preamp. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a nice little preamp that furnishes 48 volts and a 12AX7 tube for warmth, and then all that stuff, and then the condenser microphone has a windscreen, so I'm right into the microphone. I'm actually kind of touching the microphone, and you can do that if you have a windscreen on it. But anyway, that gives you a very consistent audio modulation. Roger?
Roger on all of that, absolutely. This one has a sock on it. It is on an arm, and normally I am right in front of the screen, but like I said, we invited the dogs in to cool off from this 101 degrees, and so we'll just kind of move out of the way and let them have their say here in the shack. but everything normally is okay. I've got a large screen to the side of me that I do QRZ with, and a large screen in front of me that reports the SDR. And it looks like I might have to back down just a little bit. It looks like the ALC is complaining slightly into the red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello. It's still a little bit too hot. Okay, there we go. That kind of, I'm not sure if that's good for you or not. The ALC is bouncing just outside the warning.
Roger, that's perfect. Just stay out of the red. Stay out of the red, but you can be right up to it. You know, that radio sounds really good. And I was going to mention that your dynamic range is 3 dB, so you're running 80 to 85% peak modulation. Whereas I think maybe perhaps earlier you were had a wider excursion in your modulation. You were probably around maybe a 6 or 7 dB dynamic range. Unprocessed audio is around 10 dB dynamic range, and when you're running unprocessed audio at 10 dB dynamic range, your average peak modulation is 30%. So you want to get that up, and so when you're running 3 dB dynamic range, your average peak is around 80 to 85, which is a lot better signal. Roger, it's about twice as loud, apparent loudness.
Yes. Oh, Roger. I'm going to turn on something called a compander. I really have never messed with these things. Okay, there's the compander on right there. 1, 2, 3. Compander off. 1, 2, 3. And now we have the dynamic range on. I think it's called the expander on this one. And then that one's off. So everything's off right now. That's with the expander, and that's with the compander. Over.
Roger, not much difference. I wouldn't even mess with those. I would turn those off. I would only run the compressor at a 3 out of 10 and the ALC at mid-scale to 2/3. Copy those two things, and you're doing great.
Great. Okay. Well, I really appreciate your taking time. And like I said, if you see anything or hear anything, as it were, that needs to be done, do let me know. Right now, on the peak of the voice, we're just barely touching the red, so I think we've pushed it about as far as we can go as far as the ALC. The mic dynamic range, the equalizer on this thing, I'm happy with the equalizer. I'm not happy with the microphone. And the only way I can change the mic is to do something like you've done, and just haven't gotten around to that yet. And by the way, I really that a tube does have really nice, rich, warm voice, unlike transistors. You can really tell the difference. Over.
Roger. Now, on your top-end EQ, what controls do you have left on your EQ? I mean, can we get any more top-end brightness at about 3.2 on the audio boost?
No, sir, we can't. The 2K, 4K, and 8K are wide open, and the only thing that we've changed is dropping down the 1K and pushing up the mic gain a little bit.
Roger, you might try backing off the 2K. About how much are you pushing now on 2K?
Okay. It is 100%, and I can drop it down to, that's around 75 right there. Over.
Okay, everything else still full blast from 3 on up?
Yes, sir. Actually, it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16, since it's kind of binary. So the 4K, 8K, and 16K are opened up all the way 100%.
Roger that. Well, I would take that 2K back to where it was, since you can't get any more top end. That 2K was helping the upper mids, so I'd take it back to where it was, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, there we go. Back to where it was. Over.
Yeah, I would run it like that. If we had more time, we would go back down to the bottom end and take some more off the bottom end and try to shape the top again. But I think that's fairly close. And I haven't gotten you on my main receiver. That's real flat from 100 cycles up to past 3. So I could tell a lot more. These SDRs have a tendency to roll off bottom end somewhat below 175, 150 cycles.
Yeah, now there's 2 more things that we can try. We can actually take the filter and bring it up a little bit. We can also add a little bit more preamp to it. So let's see, I'm going to try to preamp first. We'll boost the preamp just a little bit. There's the preamp boosted, and 1, 2, 3, and then back down to where it was. And then I can go over here and actually expand the range up. Let me do this. I'm not sure if I can do it while I'm transferring. Yeah, it will. Okay. That will, there we go. That allows me to get more highs. Over.
Can you A/B that with and without?
It'll take a moment. This look at. Let me go back here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to give you a moment of silence while I correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's with and without.
Was the last without?
The last is without. It's basically back where we were.
Yeah, I would leave it just like that. That sounds really good. You don't need that other, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, very good. All right, well, that's fine. I have narrowed it down just a little bit, but if that's, it's only just a few cycles on the low side that I've clipped off.
Roger, yeah, I would keep it just like that, and we have been recording since actually 3:30, but we have recorded our QSO here, and so if you want to hear what your adjustments did in the end product, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 81619. My Group Aircheck 81619, and we'll have that posted within the next couple of days. Roger?
Roger.
Okay, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, My Group Aircheck 81619. Got it. Thank you so much for your time and effort. I appreciate it. I'm sure that there are other people wanting to get in on this, so I'll say a quick 73 and hope to hear you on again later, and thank you so much. AB4AN after you.
Roger, Roger, Joseph. Three's that way, sir, and you have a real good afternoon and a great weekend. And we'll see you next Friday if you get a chance. And so threes for now. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are listening.
Victor Echo 3 Papa Charlie Papa Mobile.
There's a Papa Charlie. Papa Charlie, come back with a call sign slowly, phonetically.
Phonetically? Yeah, good afternoon. It's Victor Echo 3 Papa Charlie Papa Mobile.
Okay, Victor Echo 3 Papa Charlie. What was the last?
Papa Charlie Papa Mobile.
Papa Charlie Papa Mobile. Where are you exactly, sir?
Okay, sir. I am near a small town named Kincardine, Ontario, in Midwestern Ontario, not too far from the shores of Lake Huron. QSO.
Ah, roger that. And what radio are you running today, sir?
Sir. I'm running a Kenwood TS120S, and I have a 40-meter Hustler mobile antenna on the roof of the car. QSO.
Ah, Roger. Well, you're doing a great job there. So you're doing about 100 watts. Is that a Roger?
Roger. Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Roger, doing a really, really good job. I'm copying you On my, well, actually, I'm copying you on the Milford PA SDR, and you're about 10 over their noise level. Roger?
Roger.
QSO, very good. Anyways, I wanted to give you a quick shout. We're just about to
Okay, kind of faded just a little bit there. You say you're in your mobile?
Mobile? QSO, just heading home from work and just going through another small town here, so we're just about estimated, so I won't hold it. I'm sure other people want to get your reports as well, so thanks very much for coming back, and appreciate it. The 3PCP mobile.
Roger, Roger. On your mic EQ, if you get a chance, I would put in 2 or 3 clicks more top end. Roger?
Roger.
Yeah, there's no adjusting the frequency response on the microphones here, just strictly mic gain. That's all I've got.
All right, I would back off mic. I would use inverse proximity effect. I would back off that mic 2 inches and then crank up the audio to make the difference. That way you'll have more top end than bottom end. Roger?
Roger.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I put it up a little bit and backed off 2 or 3 inches. Is that better?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a lot brighter, not as heavy.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I have the shore of Lake Huron in my site here. We live right on the shore, a little town called Inver Huron, so right next to the Bruce Nuclear Power Generating Station. So if that kind of gives you an idea where we're at. So about 2.5 hours north of Fort Huron, if you know where that is.
Roger that. So now just remember when you're working that mic to work it off like that. Otherwise, if you forget and start working it like you were with a mic gain, you'll be fairly well over your ALC level. Roger?
Roger.
Yes, thank you very much for the feedback and help adjusting. I appreciate it very much. At 7-3 and have a good afternoon. The 3PCP mobile will be clearing QRT very shortly.
Roger, Roger. What's the name there?
The name there?
Sorry, the name is Roger Oscar Baker.
Roger, Rob. 3Z Waster sounding good. You have a real good afternoon, great weekend, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We start at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time and go till 5 and record all the way. So, that mobile's doing you a great job. So 3s for now, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, we are recording now live till 5.
Kilo Alpha 9, Zulu Yankee Whiskey, Milwaukee.
Kilo Alpha 9 station, come back slowly with your call sign again, phonetically.
Phonetically?
Kilo Alpha 9er, Zulu Yankee Whiskey.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name there?
Name there?
Jim, Juliet, India Mike.
Roger, I should be able to remember that since that's my name. And what's your location again?
Just a little bit outside, about 20 miles north of Milwaukee there. Go ahead.
All right, Roger, Jim. Well, you're doing great there. This is a base station or mobile?
Mobile. It's a base station. It's a Kenwood TS8. There, go ahead.
Repeat that again. I was just shifting, looking for an SDR. Repeat your model number radio.
Radio?
Kenwood TS820.
Copy that as TS820, Roger.
Roger.
QSL. I'm running a Kenwood TS820 in a Shure microphone, a 522 microphone. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Now I can only copy you on the Milford PA SDR, and they are low frequency is kind of rolled out, so I can't really tell what your bottom end is, but the top end of that microphone sounds great. Let me come back and tell me about your antenna system, and I want to try to see if I can get you on my local antenna. Roger?
Roger.
Roger that. This is 20 miles outside of Milwaukee. I'm running a Kenwood TS820 and a Hustler 5 BTV vertical right now. Go ahead.
Roger, Jim. Yeah, I think that EQ is pretty good. I couldn't copy you real well on my local antenna, but I could copy enough that I could hear that bottom end. I think you're close enough. Roger, Roger.
Roger. This is a Shure 522 desk mic. 522 desk mic. Go ahead.
Roger that. Yeah, I think the EQ is just perfect on it, and your dynamic range looks to be about 3 dB, so you're running average peak modulation around 80 to 85%. Roger, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, I got my compression set at 4, compression set at 4, mic gain set at 7. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, the mic gain, what you really want to look at is your ALC. Don't worry about the actual numbers on your mic gain. You just want to adjust your mic gain to satisfy your ALC reading, and your ALC meter reading should be mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, copy that. Do I sound good? Sound good? Go ahead.
Roger that. And I would, now we usually recommend that compressor to run at a 3. We usually recommend compressors be run at about a 3. That's because they'd be very transparent, and you would never hear a compressor actually working at a 3. So, and that's the best way, because when you hear a compressor working, it's too hot. Roger.
Okay, copy that. I turned the compressor down from a 4 to a 3. Compressor now at 3. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, I think it's gangbusters. I think you're sounding great. We have been recording, and so if you want to hear what it sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 81619. My Group Aircheck 81619. Roger.
Roger.
Roger that. Got a question for you. The microphone right now is set on low, and radio says the microphone should be set on high. Got a comment on that? Go ahead.
Wait, can you A/B the two back to back?
Back.
This is set on low. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll set it to high. Stand by. This is set on high. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the high setting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead.
Roger. You probably need to be, that A/B test needs to be closer together if that's possible. But the last setting sounded great, Roger.
Roger.
Roger that. So you like it on high better than on low? Go ahead.
I'd prefer another A/B test, but to try to get the two closer together, switch directly without as much time between them.
Copy that. Okay, I'll listen now to the YouTube and I'll see what it looks like. Right now the setting is on high. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would leave it there. That sounds close. Sounds good right there. And like I say, if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search, we have about 670 QSO-VLOGs now, but on page 1, they usually put the latest, and that would be My Group Aircheck 81619. Roger?
Roger.
Roger that. Well, I thank you very much for the information. I really do appreciate it.
Roger, Jim. 3's that way, sir. You have a real good afternoon and a great weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Victor Echo 3 Papa Charlie Papa. I'm now at home.
Papa Charlie Papa at home. Roger.
Roger.
Yeah, QSO. I just took a minute when I came in the door to turn it on, and was able to hear you quite well from home. Here's the Kenwood TS850 and running a hand mic, QSO.
All right, I'm copying you real well on my my local antenna. So tell me a bit about that radio, Roger.
Yeah, QSO. It's an older Kenwood. It's the Kenwood TS850. Running with the processor on, and I've got the mic gain set at about 4 and the processor set at about talking about 3-4 inches away from the hand mic QSO.
Roger that, roger that. Well, sounds good, sir. And again, we've got a recording of that. So if you could do the YouTube thing and look for my group Aircheck 81619, Roger?
Yep, roger, QSO. Well, thank you very much for the second check for the day. I appreciate it. And we've got a comparison between home and mobile. So thank you very much. 7-3, good afternoon. V3 PCP is clear.
Roger, Rob, 3Z way, sir, and good afternoon. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and gosh, we're rapidly approaching 5 o'clock, at which time we turn into a pumpkin. We've got 10 till 5. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
Victor Alpha 3, Victor Mike Delta.
Victor Alpha 3, Mike Delta, is that a Roger?
Victor Mexico Delta is the suffix. Victoria Mike Delta, Roger?
All right, let me see if I got this right. Victor Mike Delta 3, is that a Roger?
Yeah, you've got Victor America 3, Victor Mike Delta. Yeah, you got it there, Jim. Nice to talk to you again. You're sounding good up into Ontario.
Roger. And what's the name there?
Yeah, the name is Vito. We spoke a couple of weeks ago, and I just finally got my ACOM 1010 in line with the 7300 there, Jim. Just was wondering how it was sounding out your way.
Oh, come back and tell me about your antenna. Let me look at it for a minute.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're running a high-end antenna from Holland. It's a 66-foot long end-fed wire antenna. It's got a 9-to-1 anon at the feed point, and it's sloping up about 35 feet there to a mast up near the chimney there, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger. And that radio is as broad band as possible?
Yeah, the 7300's running wide band mode, and I've got the bass at 0 and the treble at +3. Go ahead.
And that's the stock hand mic?
The Heil ICM microphone, Heil ICM.
Roger. I would go ahead and take those other 2 clicks. I would boost it 5 on the top end. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. We can boost that to 5, no problem at all there. We'll just get into the setting right now, and 0 +3, and we are now at 0 +5, 0 +5 on the equalization.
Roger. I can hear the additional brightness. I think it sounds great. It really shows up in the S's. And the stock hand mic is Electret, and it does such a beautiful job. But you have to be sure, and if you run a windscreen with it to keep the transients down. I'm assuming that the mic you've replaced it with, that is a dynamic. Is that correct?
No, this has got an electric element in it as well. It's very similar to the hand mic microphone. I do have a windsock on it, and I'm pretty consistent as possible. I'm pretty much maybe about a half an inch to an inch away from the windsock, Roger.
All right, is that a foam windscreen?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay. What's your bottom end EQ?
The bottom end EQ is at 0 right now. 0.
Roger. Just for instance, could you click that back 2 clicks on the bottom end?
Yep, there's a -2 on the bottom end, -2 and +5 on the treble.
Roger. Since you can't get any more out of the top, the alternative would be to back off 1 inch or just roll 2 clicks off the bottom. I think, the 2 clicks off the bottom works for me, Roger.
Yeah, I've been playing around a little bit, and I did have it set at -2 and +3 for the most part. But audio is a very objective opinion, if you know what I mean. So you have to be very, very careful how it's critiqued and who's listening to it. So I do appreciate your ears, Roger.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, and I am listening on my receiver, which is flat to 100 cycles, and the audio is coming up through a spectrum analyzer. So when you check out your audio, you'll see the output of the receiver on the spectrum analyzer. And just a word of information, there are 3 white clicks on the spectrum analyzer. The one to the left marks 100 cycles. The 2 to the right, the first one coming out is 1 KC. There's a black space, which is 2 KC. The next white space is 4 KC. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, very good there, Jim. Yeah, excellent.
So when you're looking back, if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and you dial up my group Aircheck 86019, as you're looking at it, you'll see your audio, so you'll know what those white hash marks are. Roger.
That's awesome. I do appreciate it. Yeah, we have talked before, Jim, but like I said, I just recently got this ACOM 1010 amplifier, put it in line here, and just been giving it a little bit of a run through. Roger.
Roger. Yeah. Come back 1 click on that bottom end.
Okay, just give me a second here. I'll get back into the EQ screen. So right now we are set at -2 and +5. If you want me to bring it back a little bit more, there's -3 on the bottom end and +5 on the treble.
No, go the other way. I want -1 on the bottom end, Roger. I thought maybe you might be rolling just a tad too much on the bottom.
0 and +3 when we first initially talked, but I'll bring it up to, there's -1, there's -1 and +5.
Alrighty, and give me about 10 seconds of your description of your antenna, Roger.
Yeah, no problem, Jim. Appreciate the critiquing on the audio. We are running an end-fed antenna that's sloping up to about 35 feet. The make is a high-end fed, and it has a 9-to-1 anon at the feed point, which is up at about 15 feet, sloping up to 35 feet. Back to you there, Jim. This is VA3, Victor Mike Delta.
Roger that. Okay, we've got it on tape there, man, and so just, do your thing and see what you think, Vito.
Okay, I appreciate it, Jim. Yeah, very good. So we'll leave it here then at -1 and +5. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. We'll listen out for it over the next couple of days on your YouTube channel there, Jim. Thanks very much for taking the time yet again, and we'll definitely check it out and keep doing what you're doing. Have a great weekend. It's going to be a nice one here in just north of Toronto, Unionville. 73, my friend, and have a great weekend. VA3 VMD clear, and back to you.
Roger. 3Z Wave, Vito. We'll catch you later. Have a great weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. We got about 3 minutes till 5, so if you want to quickly air check, give me a shout. KC9VKV.
Whiskey Victor 2 Mike.
It was a Whiskey Victor. What was the rest? Give me the whole thing again.
Front call is Whiskey Victor 2 Mike. Name is Frank.
I'm copying Whiskey Victor 2, and what was the rest? I'm sorry. Well, what's the name?
Name is Frank. Foxtrot Romeo Alpha November Kilo.
Okay, Frank, and whereabouts are you located, sir?
I'm located in 30 miles northwest of Philadelphia.
Okay, I'm copying Philadelphia. Is that correct? Roger, Frank. Gosh, I got about a 2 dB over my noise level copy on you on my local antenna near Louisville, Kentucky. Hopefully that will get better, Roger. I still can't get that call. You're not clear enough for me to copy your call sign. Slowly, phonetically, twice in a row, please. Are you saying Whiskey Victor 2 Mike? Mary? Mike?
QSO, that's correct.
Okay, because I think you were throwing the M away. When you do call signs, you have to say each call sign the same intensity, and I think you were throwing that mic away because I could not copy that, just barely the last time. So anyway, Roger, Roger, and you're running about 100 watts. Is that a Roger?
No, I'm actually running about, I'd say about 350 watts for vertical antenna.
You wouldn't happen to have a horizontal antenna that you could AV, could you?
Unfortunately, those cables have 43%.
Okay, tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds, and let me look around on my SDRs and see if I can find something better. Roger?
Roger, Roger.
All right, Frank, I need for you to check a couple of things. Let's make sure that you're being all that you can be. First thing is you want your your compressor in at number 3. You want your compressor at a 3 out of 10. Compressor on and adjusted to a 3 out of 10. And the next thing is to go to your ALC and with mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC scale, meter scale, to where the meter is reflecting mid-scale to 2/3 peak. Mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Roger, Jim. I have the compressor on now, and I am reflecting 2/3.
Okay, and you adjust your ALC with your mic gain, speaking into the mic as normal, to where the ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger, Roger. Okay, I'm bringing it down a little bit. Okay, I'm about 2/3 now. Over.
Okay, I think you're sounding better. I think you might have been low on your ALC, Roger. Maybe not. That might have been Mother Nature. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you're running mid-scale to 2/3, you're being all that you can be. Roger, Roger?
Okay, yes, Roger. Yes, I am actually deflecting at 2/3 now, and I've set it up to the processor on at about 30%.
The compressor was at a 3 out of 10. Is that a Roger?
That's correct, Jim. That's correct.
Okay, Mother Nature's helping out there. She's giving me a little bit better signal. That last signal, you were 5 dB above my local noise level around Louisville, Kentucky. Roger?
Oh, Roger, Roger. And my QTH is about 30 miles north of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Roger.
Roger that. And one more time, just out of curiosity, your call sign again?
Sure, the call is Whiskey Victor 2 Mike. Whiskey Victor 2 Mike.
Excellent, excellent. That's the way to do the call sign. So, and your EQ sounds good. Like I said, I'm listening on my local receiver, which is modified for great frequency response, and you're really sounding good, Roger.
Oh, Roger, thank you very much. Here, my radio is a Kenwood TF 590SG.
That's Sam Good on the end?
Correct, that is correct, Jim.
Roger, Roger. All right. Well, if you will go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 81619. My Group Aircheck 81619. Roger?
Roger, thank you very much, Jim. I've subscribed to your channel, and I look forward to seeing myself on YouTube.
Excellent, excellent. All right, we'll say threes to you now. We got to jump out of here, but you have a great afternoon and a super weekend, Roger.
Roger, thank you very much. 73, this is Whiskey Victor 2 Mike.
Roger, Roger, Frank, 3 Sedgeways, sir. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we're headed towards the pumpkin patch. We are turned into a pumpkin. It's 5 minutes past 5 since 3:30. We have been recording live, and so if you had participated in our QSO-VLOG this afternoon, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page, page 1, hopefully, you will find a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 81619. My Group Aircheck 81619. So with that, we'll say adieu to everyone, threes, and you have a great weekend. This is KC9VKV, who will be clear.